Stop. 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 What if I told you that the number one enemy causing 80% of heart attacks and strokes is not what you've always been warned about? Not the cholesterol plaque that slowly builds up over years, but a silent killer formed in just seconds that can take your life at any moment. We're talking about blood clots, and chances are you're overlooking its real signs and risks. This video will completely change the way you think about protecting your heart. We will delve together into a topic that I believe is extremely important, but is often misunderstood in protecting cardiovascular health. First, blood clots versus plaque buildup, the life or death difference. Most of us, when we think about a heart attack, or stroke, the first image that probably comes to mind is an artery gradually narrowed by plaque buildup, things like cholesterol and calcium. This process, called atherosclerosis, is indeed a serious health problem and takes place over many years. However, what I want you to pay special attention to today is a different scenario. A scenario that is often the direct cause of death in about 80% of cases. That is the formation of a blood clot. Imagine this. Plaque can be likened to your road gradually narrowing over many years, making traffic more difficult. But a blood clot is like a sudden serious accident, completely blocking all traffic in an instant. Plaque can narrow your artery by 50%, 70%, even 90%, but you can still be alive. But when a blood clot forms and completely blocks the blood flow to the heart or brain, that's when real disaster strikes. And it can happen in less than 5 seconds. This is no longer a gradually clogged artery, but life-sustaining blood flow suddenly cut off. Second, the physiological role but potential danger of blood clots. It must be understood that the ability to form a blood clot itself is not bad. It is a wonderful protective mechanism that nature has given us. When you get a cut, or when there is damage to the artery, a hole in the artery, the body will mobilize clotting factors to create a plug, which is a blood clot, to prevent blood loss. After the damage is repaired, this blood clot will automatically dissolve. The dangerous problem arises when this clotting process becomes uncontrolled, occurs abnormally, even without clear injury, or when blood clots form inside blood vessels and are not effectively cleared by the body. At this point, the protector becomes the attacker. And the important thing we need to focus on is not just the blood clot itself, but what factors have triggered this excessive clotting reaction, and what has caused the micro damage to the artery, creating conditions for them to form. Third, inflammation, the silent fire fueling disaster. And when it comes to those triggers, one of the main culprits, a dangerous catalyst for blood clot formation, is chronic inflammation in the body. Especially the smoldering inflammation, occurring inside the endothelium, the delicate lining of the artery wall. Imagine this endothelium as a smooth surface, allowing blood to flow easily. But when inflammation occurs, that surface becomes rough, sticky, and more prone to damage. It is these small damages, combined with inflammation, that will attract platelets and other clotting factors to stick together, and from there, a blood clot can begin to form. Inflammation not only increases the risk of damage to the vessel wall, but also directly promotes the clotting process. Therefore, controlling inflammation is one of the key strategies if we want to know how to prevent heart attack comprehensively and effectively. So, what factors in our daily lives are silently igniting this dangerous blood clot formation process and increasing inflammation as well as damage to the artery? Let's go over the main enemies we need to identify. Causes blood clot triggers. First, smoking, public enemy number 1. It's no surprise that I put this factor at the top. Inhaling tobacco smoke, whether actively or passively, introduces thousands of toxic chemicals directly into your bloodstream. These chemicals brutally attack the delicate endothelium of the arteries, causing damage to the artery. And fifth, chronic infections, the hidden threat. Few would suspect that a hidden source of infection in the body, for example, a severely decayed tooth left untreated causing an abscess, or chronic gum disease, could be a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Bacteria from these infection sites can leak into the bloodstream, causing a systemic inflammatory response, inflammation, and activating clotting factors. Therefore, oral health care and thoroughly addressing chronic infections also play a role in preventing the risk of blood clot. Those are factors that perhaps many of us have heard of before. But next, I want to mention some other causes that might surprise you more. What number factor am I on now? Sixth, birth control pills and hormone replacement therapy, HRT, weighing benefits and risks. This is a sensitive issue and needs careful consideration between benefits and potential risks, especially for women. Some types of oral contraceptives, especially those containing higher doses of estrogen, and some forms of hormone replacement therapy, HRT, used during menopause have been shown to slightly increase the risk of blood clot. The exact mechanism is quite complex, involving the interaction of hormones with clotting factors in the liver. This does not mean that everyone using these methods is in danger, but if you have other cardiovascular risk factors, for example, smoking, obesity, a family history of blood clots, then a thorough discussion with your doctor about the safest options is extremely necessary. This is part of understanding how to avoid a heart attack in a personalized way. Seventh, surgery and trauma, physical stress and temporary risk. Any major surgery or a serious trauma places the body in a state of significant physical stress. During recovery after surgery or trauma, the body will activate clotting mechanisms as part of the natural healing process. In addition, prolonged immobility after surgery can also increase the risk of blood clot. Formation in deep veins, especially in the legs, and these clots risk traveling to the lungs or other organs. This is why doctors often pay close attention to thrombosis prevention after surgery, with measures such as early patient mobilization, use of medical compression stockings, or prophylactic anticoagulants in some cases. Eighth, high-intensity endurance sports, e.g. marathon, harmful if overdone. The doctor can make a gesture as if running a marathon. We all know exercise is good for the heart. However, engaging in physical activities of extremely high intensity and duration, such as running marathons or triathlons, without adequate preparation and recovery, can temporarily place a great burden on the cardiovascular system. This extreme exertion can cause oxidative stress, acute inflammation, and even temporary micro-damage to the artery. In some rare cases, this can increase the risk of arrhythmia or trigger blood clot formation in individuals with underlying risk factors. The important thing is to listen to your body, train scientifically, and ensure adequate recovery, not the more the better. Ninth, excess calcium from improper supplementation. Too much good becomes bad. Calcium is an essential mineral for bones and many other body functions. However, the notion the more calcium the better for bones and self-administering high-dose calcium supplements without medical advice, especially in postmenopausal women, can bring undesirable cardiovascular consequences. Instead of self-supplementing with high doses, focus on getting calcium from natural foods, and if supplementation is needed, ensure you are using it correctly, combined with synergistic substances, nutrients to direct calcium to where it needs to go, which is your bones, not your arteries. This is an important aspect of understanding how to prevent the heart attack safely. Thus, we have reviewed a series of factors that can trigger the formation of a blood clot. Blood clot. Perhaps some factors surprised you, but identifying them is the first step for us to proactively prevent them. And the good news is, there are many things we can do through natural changes in lifestyle and nutrition to minimize these risks and protect our hearts. Next, we will explore those solutions. Agreed! We will move on to the solution section, natural ways to prevent and reduce the risk of blood clots, focusing on important vitamins and nutrients presented concisely and understandably. So we now have a better understanding of the factors that can lead to blood clot. Blood clot. Now the most important part, what can we do to proactively prevent it? The good news is that nature has provided us with many powerful tools. Let's explore the essential nutrients and lifestyle changes that help you protect. First, vitamin K2, the smart calcium gatekeeper. Main sources: natto, Japanese fermented soybeans; aged cheese, Gouda, brie; pastured egg yolks; butter from grass-fed cows; liver. Second, vitamin D3, anti-inflammatory ally and K2 supporter. Main sources: sunlight is best, also found in fatty fish, salmon, mackerel; egg yolks; fortified foods. Third, magnesium, the relaxing mineral and heart rhythm regulator. Main sources: nuts, almonds, cashews, pumpkin seeds; dark leafy greens, spinach, kale; avocado; dark chocolate, high cocoa content. Fourth, boost nitric oxide, NO, the natural vasodilator. Ways to naturally increase NO: foods rich in L-arginine and L-citrulline; red meat, choose lean grass-fed; poultry, fish, dairy products; watermelon, cucumber. Sunlight exposure. Sunlight stimulates the skin to produce NO. Another reason you shouldn't avoid sunlight excessively. Nitrate-rich vegetables: beets, spinach, rocket salad, arugula. The body will convert nitrates into NO. Fifth, omega-3 fatty acids, the lubricant for blood vessels. Main sources: cold water fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, herring, sardines; fish oil, flax seeds, chia seeds, walnuts. Sixth, garlic and onions, silent warriors from the kitchen. Don't underestimate the power of these familiar spices. Both garlic and onions contain sulfur compounds with anticoagulant, anti-inflammatory inflammation properties and help naturally lower blood pressure. Add them to your daily meals. Seventh, polyphenols and vitamin C, the antioxidant bodyguard squad. Colorful fruits and vegetables, green tea, red wine in moderation, and herbs are rich in polyphenols. Vitamin C is also a powerful antioxidant. They help protect artery walls from free radical attack, reduce inflammation, and maintain the health of the endothelium. When the vessel walls are healthy, the risk of blood clot formation will be significantly reduced. Lifestyle changes for proactive prevention. Power from habits. First, intermittent fasting, cleaning up the body periodically. Intermittent fasting, for example, the 16-8 method, fasting for 16 hours, eating within an 8-hour window, not only helps with weight management, but is also an effective way for the body to self-clean. It helps reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, and can promote autophagy, removing damaged cells, contributing to keeping arteries healthy. Second, low-carb/ketogenic diet, reducing fuel for inflammation. Minimizing refined starches and sugar, or adopting a ketogenic diet, if appropriate and with guidance, helps control blood sugar, reduce insulin resistance, and thereby significantly reduce chronic inflammation. One of the main causes of damage to the artery, and activation of clotting. Third, exercise regularly and moderately, pumping vitality into the cardiovascular system. Regular physical activity is a wonderful medicine. I'm not talking about exercising to exhaustion, but maintaining a habit of moderate activity like brisk walking, swimming, cycling, yoga. Exercise helps improve blood circulation, strengthen heart health, reduce stress, and importantly, helps maintain the flexibility of blood vessel walls, reducing the risk of blood clot formation. Fourth, effective stress management, soothing the nervous system. As we've discussed, stress is a very strong clotting trigger. Therefore, learning how to manage stress is extremely necessary. Find suitable methods for yourself such as meditation, deep breathing, spending time in nature, pursuing hobbies, and ensuring you get enough sleep. A relaxed mind will contribute to protecting your heart. So, what is the most important message I want you to take away after today's video? It is 80% of heart attack, and stroke are not caused by the slow buildup of plaque, but by the sudden formation of a blood clot. And the trigger for these blood clots is often inflammation, and damage to the artery that we can actively control. Your cardiovascular health and the ability to prevent unfortunate events are largely in your own hands. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't let yourself become a statistic. Turn